Feature Friday.
The freshest. What's up, people? Welcome to Feature Friday Plus. Today we are joined by Ena Mori here on Feature Friday Plus. Yes.
Hello, Ena.
Welcome.
Hi, guys. Hello, everybody.
Good to have you on.
You guys. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
I have to say, I think we checked you out on the podcast before.
Yeah.
You were with Tim in the Wish bus with Timothy, and
Yeah.
it was so cool to see, because we obviously, we like a lot of Timothy's work, and then we came across yours, and we were like, what the fuck? That is such a perfect combo of stuff.
It's so cool. Yeah.
To see your
thank
kind
you
of
so much.
brains work together, and see how your brain works is quite peculiar, I must say. So let's maybe take it back to the beginning. What's your kind of relationship with music? Did you start really young, or what? How did it all begin?
Right. Actually, I didn't really start as a songwriter per se. I started playing piano classically.
Oh, Jesus.
As Asian kid. I don't know. It's like I had a lot of activities to do, and one of them was piano. And I started classically training when I was 6 years old. So
Right.
my dream was to become like a classical pianist or something like that. So I went in to do a lot of competitions. Those classical, Mozart, Chopin, you name it. That's
Damn,
what I was
man.
doing. Yeah, that was the start of my musical journey. And around probably 10 or 11, that's when I kind of got tired of reading notes.
Yeah.
And kind of, I wanted to do my own thing, but of course, classical is a
Rigid.
huge no to uniqueness. You just really need to follow what it was instructed. So I kind of got tired of that, and I started making kind of like a small, compositions, not really much of the lyrics, but just a small composition here and there.
Okay.
And I think when I was starting to write songs, I think it was around 15, 16, around that time. Just like trying out, but not really seriously. And
But what ignited the idea of like writing your own songs now? Because obviously you're so musically, so why would you want to write anything? What made you?
Well, actually, when I started listening to music, I started with classical CD, so not much lyrics were on it, and maybe a few operas, but I don't understand what they're saying. So, like it's just it wasn't really in my alley until I listened to one of my dad's CD that we usually have. My dad had a Queen CD.
Nice.
And when that was the first time I heard like a song with lyrics.
That's so crazy, what the fuck?
Yeah, because I was such a nerd, I didn't really have much social, music around it. There were some, I grew up in Japan, so there were a lot of J-pops, J-pop music. But I didn't really, maybe I wasn't really interested at that time. Yeah, I was more of like, yes, Chopin, that's my thing.
Mozart.
And it was it's so fun. It's such a nerdy thing. But when I heard Queen, and I think that was Bohemian Rhapsody, and I think that's the time where I heard my familiar, harmonic familiarity from the classic, and also it's so much cooler than what I was listening. And that's where I was very mind blown and very inspired, and that's where I kind of went into other type of genres of music, and I think that's what really influenced me to write.
It's so mental, right? Because given the fact, because also when you're so young, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but if you start at 6 and then you're sort of just exposed to one sort of genre of music, it sounds funny to say, but it's like your whole world, the only thing you knew was like classical music.
Right.
So when you then notice something different, it's like you're being introduced to a different planet. That moment must have been like, what is this? I want more of this.
Yes, and I think I always felt like, even though I heard other, J-pop songs around the town, I didn't really pay attention too much because I was so focused on this type of genre. And when I heard that kind of like crossover song, that was really mind-blowing. And that's where I started really, looking through more artists, and that's where I got all the.
Do you ever hear Metallica?
Actually. Metallica. And I went more. What do you call that? I actually had like a punk phase, which is so funny. Like I was so surprised with punk, because like that's where you actually express your anger, frustration, and also your passion. And something that I never did in the keyboard, know, and that's one thing that I really got amazed by, and I think that's where I kind of like lurked around.
That's awesome. But that's really cool, because you have so many like cool structurized influences to begin with. So anything that comes after that, it's always going to be really exciting and very different. What was your introduction to punk music? Like, what band made you be like, yes, this is it?
It's funny because I think a lot of punk heads will be, rolling their eyes out. But my first record that I heard is Avril Lavigne. And they'll be like, oh my God, that is the most least punk thing you're ever. But I was I think probably 13 or 14. Avril was really big in Japan, and
really,
where I kind of Avril was pretty famous in Japan at that time. And then everybody was listening to Avril, so I wanted to kind of like jump into the the bandwagon. And I actually loved it. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And that's how I kind of I studied how to read English and try to understand what they're trying to say in this song and what's the theme. And that's where I got really into songwriting, because
that's crazy.
Cool. It's not just music.
It's not just music.
You learned English listening to Avril Lavigne songs.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I kind of learned how to read and write. Well, I try to Yeah, well, there are a lot of songs that
Duolingo. Who? You don't need that.
Duolingo. Yeah. Well,
so you didn't speak English before that?
I knew how, because my dad's side is a Filipino, so my dad sometimes speak to me in English, but my dad was very good at Japanese, and as a Japanese kid, so he sometimes know words I don't even know. I'm like, how do you even say? But all of the CDs that my dad had, the good old, hip hop to R&B to all of those urban music as well. They had like this little lyrics,
pamphlet lyrics, and
I used to collect them, try to read them, and they sometimes, if they're really good enough, they will like have like a translation at the back in Japanese, and like I love that stuff, so I will always like go through it, and that's what it means, that's the curse word, okay, all right, those things, and it kind of it became kind of like a ritual where when there's a new CD that comes out, I'll just go to the record store and buy it and try to read through the lyrics. And I think that's why I got into more on the Western music rather than more on the local music. Obviously, local music are amazing also, but I got into more Western very quickly because of that.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense, and it's crazy because a lot of like my childhood memories, I remember also going through, obviously we come from South America, Venezuela, so we grew up listening to a lot of music in Spanish, but I remember whenever my dad would listen to rock or anything like it was a little bit different outside of the culture itself, it would come with the CDs would come with the pamphlets, and I actually remember my older sister used to transcribe them, like, because that's how cool they were. That was like the pastime.
Wow, that's so cool. And I just remember that memory to be one of the fun memories, just like looking through the lyrics.
And it was like a proper hobby, like to sit there, read it, and like
sometimes you put like stickers on it. Those things.
Those bloody stickers, they were all over the house. I remember.
Oh yeah. I loved all of them, and I still have it in somewhere in the cupboard, like somewhere in the.
So you grew up going to music stores and buying the albums in CD, like in person.
Physical copies, yeah.
So
yeah.
So how old are you, Ena?
I'm 23.
Oh, you're the same age as me. Okay.
Oh yeah. So
not many people, you know, even my mates, because I don't know, maybe in Japan it's a bit like that, but like in South America it's also similar to that, where you did go to the stores, buy the albums, and then do the whole translation stuff. But some of my mates here in the UK, they didn't really do that as much. I don't know why, but
they used to download music a lot more.
Yeah, because I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. They used to download music more, but I remember, like, you know, 2003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Basically, you had to go to the bloody store and figure out what it was like actual shopping. Like, you go to the aisles and figure out what you wanted to buy.
What was
I think that's what I felt here in the Philippines as well. Because when I was talking to Tim, and I one time I talked about, you know, how I went to the store and, you know, bought all of those CDs, and he was kind of looking at me strangely and be like, wait, but like, you're not that old. Basically what he was saying was he's more of a downloading. You know, in the Philippines there were more downloading, and I think that's one thing that Japan it's until this day we kind of have a culture where we still buy physical copies.
Right.
That's so cool.
Yeah, we have Tower Records or Disc Union. So if you want to buy like a vinyl or even a CD,
that's nuts.
You know, Japanese really manufacture a lot of those. So growing up, I didn't really have like an iPad or anything, so I would just like go
play a CD player.
CD.
Or even the laptop had a CD.
That's
like
right.
I used to abuse those. Like my dad had that, and I would like kind of go sneak through my dad's, you know, laptop and just put it in.
So
crazy.
So is that Vale? Is that why? Because educate me. I mean, I think you're like the third artist from Japan, or that at least has lived in Japan.
Yeah.
We've had on the podcast. So educate me on this. Is that maybe why, like, in the Japanese music scene and even like the South Korean music scene, they still physical copies are still such a big deal because people genuinely go to shops and then sort of get them?
Yeah. Even though we have a lot of, you know, we have Spotify.
Yeah, of course.
Type of, still, I think CDs, you know, a lot of record stores that I used to go is still open.
Right.
You know, clearly doing really well, and a lot of artists actually sell copies of CDs, you know, here in the streets and stuff like that.
Because here in the UK, that's not a thing.
No,
like, CDs no longer exist, man.
I actually think they shut down like the biggest franchise that sold CDs and DVDs.
Oh, no
and
way!
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to go to like this vintage shops where they sell the CDs, and you're like, what the hell? For 3 times the price, and you're like, why?
So
like,
back in the day, I don't know how much it would have costed in Japan, but like it would have been maybe in dollars. Like it would have been, you know, you buy an album, it's like, I don't know, $10 or something like that. And it was quite hefty. But it was $10. But now, like, if you go to a vintage store here in London, it's like 35 quid, £40.
And it's kind of like vintage.
Yeah.
And
it's
you're
like,
like,
piss off, mate. You just saved this 20 years ago.
Right. And I think that's what I like about Japan. It's kind of like a pros and cons, because usually sometimes I remember this one thing where I was, you know, watching Japanese artists, you know, music videos. And during that time, the music videos was kind of cut in the middle on YouTube because they wanted to sell copies. Yeah, so I needed to buy a DVD together with the CD and, you know, some merch to kind of actually watch them. That's a good thing for artists. Like, wow, like I would love that.
Yeah.
But that was kind of, you know, that's where all of my savings, all of my, you know, snack, you know, money went. Because, you know, you have to buy the physical copy to actually hear it. But there's some type of thrill that I really like, you know. Sometimes it's a hit or it really is a hit or miss, and
Yeah.
you know, you don't really know how it will sound like, and sometimes those record stores, they won't allow you to like listen to it.
Listen to
Of
them. Yeah,
course,
they
of
don't.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's that thrill that I really loved growing up.
That's
Fine,
cool.
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about like the first CD that you actually saved up to buy.
Oh,
In
that
what
I think that was the Avril Lavigne.
Oh, the Ever
Right,
Living
right.
one, yeah.
Yeah, the best damn thing, I think.
Yeah, that was a great album.
Yeah,
Freaking
was a great
awesome album.
album.
Yeah.
You two,
Yeah.
if you two share playlists, you'll find probably lots of similarities because Bale also had
Yeah.
Bale had the punk phase
I
as
did
well. And all
too.
that stuff.
I did too. I'm guilty and it's fine.
It's still there. Yeah, and
It's still
then
there.
yeah, I think that was the first CD I ever bought with my own, you know, kid money.
So,
Yeah.
so when did you move to the Philippines then?
I moved. I'm not sure if I'm right, but I think 6 years ago.
Right.
Oh, maybe almost 7 years ago.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And you were
So
doing
it's pretty good. Like pretty long time.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you were making. So you feel like you made the transition to sort of started writing your own music and maybe stepping up a bit further away from classical. Were you starting to write in Japan, and then when you sort of, because I mean also it's a matter of age as well, right?
Mhm.
7 years ago is when you're like
Yeah.
16, 15, you're starting to become a
Yeah.
bit more of who you are. So when was the moment you feel like you started to create the music that you were kind of happy with stylistically?
Mhm. Yeah. And it took a long time, to be honest. You know, I didn't really know what I wanted to make. I knew how to kind of copy other people's style. You know, that's how you start things.
Yeah.
But I think the moment I kind of knew what I really wanted was during my college years. I
Okay.
think I was probably 20 years old that time, so it's pretty recent.
Of course.
And that's where I actually started, you know, actually recording my songs, because all of them are just, you know, demos here and there on the voice, you know, voice memos and all of that. Not really serious, but that's where I kind of. And it's funny because that was part of my thesis, because I went to my major was a music
Nice.
major. Yeah, so that was kind of like my last thing I had to do in college was to make thesis. And
Okay.
thesis for me was an EP. It's kind of like a 3-song EP that I needed to make.
Nice.
And that was kind of like, you know, forcing myself to, okay, I have a deadline actually.
Yeah.
About it. And, you know, I had all the songs in the shelves, and, you know, I needed to pick, you know, one or two. And I think that's where I figured out what I really wanted to do, and the song how I wanted to go with. Yeah.
So
It's-
what was your actual process like? Because if you were taking the writing process of it, of course, because it's all a bit mumbo jumbo for a lot of different people. Some people start with the
Right.
music and then they write lyrics. Some people write lyrics and then jump into the booth and try to do something with it. How is the process of making music for you?
Yeah. I started with the melody
Okay.
every time, and I you know, I look up to people that could start with lyrics, because I think they're very cool how to do it. But, I'm very melodic more than you know, I'm not really good at lyrics as much. So I start with the melody, and you know, just look through the demos that I had from like 3 years ago. Maybe you can use them, maybe you can't. Yeah, those are like the things that I would like look and scroll through to find, you know, inspiration. And sometimes I will, you know, go out, try to write in a different environment. I'm very, what do you call that? I'm very distracted person. So whenever I'm in a place where, you know, there's a lot of distractions, I get really kind of stuck with my idea. So I try my best to kind of make myself focus while, you know, go somewhere else and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
so-
dude, I was looking at something. We went out for coffee the other day, and you know how people like to study in like coffee shops
shop.
and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, bro, you can't, because there's so many things going around you and stuff, and it's like, how am I not meant to get distracted?
Yeah.
Or we know
Right.
musicians that go to like coffee shops
Yeah.
with a view, but you have like this woman talking on their phone and this girl, you know, maybe
Right.
looking at you, and you have this other
And a
man.
crying baby.
Yes,
And
it's
Yeah.
like, how the hell how am I gonna focus here? But there's people that can, I don't know, they sort of like the environment.
That I really, commend those people that could do that.
Too.
I'm so distracted naturally, so I really have to, focus. But I think I always start with some type of chord or melody to kind of open my, have an open minded mental state at first, and then that's how I kind of start from there. But the lyrics always comes at the end. Like the lyrics are just like, okay. And I think that the reason why I really like my process in that way is that I like my melody to be at least catchy on my own terms, and for something that you could it's memorable, something that people would recognize when they hear. And for me, writing melodies first really kind of means a lot because I can do that. And that's kind of how I write songs.
That's pretty clever though. That a lot of people use the melody to speak through the message that they want to convey. And sometimes the song speaks to you before you even know what to write. It's pretty cool. I was just listening to Vivid just recently again, and literally minutes before you came in. And I was like, it's such a quirky chord progression, but it doesn't take you out from the feel of the pop feel, but it's also quite alternative. And how do you come up with Vivid and Bleeding Hearts? Because they're kind of like cohesive, but they're very different. So any
so they exist in the same world.
That's
but
right.
Kind of each song provides different elements that the other song doesn't. So it's really intriguing. And well, I mean, now it kind of makes a bit more sense knowing a bit of your story, stylistically, the music and your kind of musical pedigree. But what was maybe the process for that one, for Vivid, and those bizarre sort of arrangements that you have in there? Because I don't think many people could come up with that type of. It requires. It's not just because you have the musical pedigree in terms of knowledge, which is really nice to know as another music head, but what you have, which I think is really unique, is your musical imagination. It's really intriguing to sort of see, how your bloody mind works. What the hell is in there? Because I wouldn't have come up with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for listening. That really means a lot. Vivid. I kind of, Vivid kind of came about as a, I don't want to say as a joke, but it was kind of like I was in this mindset where like, how can I make a very catchy song, but with something that is, it's not a bland song that everybody could just like drink. And I think in music there's always that sweet spot, and I kind of believe in that. Like there's this sweet spot of like your originality and how people can, get you. Yeah, people would understand you in some type of form. And I wanted to make a pop song where it could be in that sweet spot, and that's how I kind of started with Vivid. And actually, me and Tim, we work on all of the songs together.
That's
and
really
Tim
cool.
is my main guy to, just and he sometimes share his own opinion, and I will, respond to it. And we kind of came up with this. I don't know if you heard the sound. There's like a little bubble thing going on. The whole song.
The whole song is like a bubbling thing.
Yeah. It's kind of like an underground when you're inside the pool. There's like this bubble coming.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a sound like that, right? And I really like to play around with sounds that you could really kind of see visually. I'm a very visual person. So it's so I like when I hear stuff and you could kind of see what's kind of going on, and that's why I like with music as well. I listen to a lot of music that I could kind of visualize, and that's how we wrote Vivid.
And also, obviously, one of the biggest highlights. I mean, when we checked it out on the podcast, the amount of messages that people were saying is like, "Oh my God, where did she get these glasses?"
Yeah, that's it kind of became like a clickbait per se, which is awesome,
Well,
but also
it worked in the wish busting because
yeah.
everyone was like, I mean, what is this?
What is it? Yeah.
Click, you know what I mean? So it definitely worked, especially on the wish
Yeah.
bus performance. It was so, because I think especially on the wish bus where they're so,
Yeah.
especially in the Philippines, dude, where it's like, to
The
me,
high standard, like
yeah.
the expectations of live music are so high. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
like that in Japan, but I know for sure in the Philippines, like the expectation of live
So
music,
live music is like
Yeah.
more sought after
it's
rather than studio
paramount.
music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Right.
when I saw you with Tim and you sort of put the goggles on, I was like, yeah, this is fucking genius. I love the idea.
It is.
It kind of like it's funny because a lot of people were kind of asking, you know, what the hell are you wearing? You know, what's that? And yeah, it came from a music video where I was wearing, it's a welding glasses that we painted on. It's just, you know, one of those elements. And it's funny because when we were about to shoot the wish bus, I was kind of hesitant because I didn't kind of look like a dickhead, you know what I mean? I don't want to have this glasses and be like, you know, hi, I'm an artist. And that was my first wish bus. Yeah.
Between me and you is a very thin line between being stylish and being a dickhead. So
right.
I think you were more towards the edge of style, not bad. At least wow inducing, you know what I mean?
That. The thing is, like, our subscribers, they were very adamant that we checked that out, and we're like, okay, cool. And obviously, knowing that Tim was involved in the production, like at least in the from the thumbnail, we knew that the music quality was going to be good. But
I like that guy a lot, man.
I love Timothy; he's awesome. But I knew that there were gonna be a lot of crazy, cool, new, unexpected elements because we already knew what he can do, and One Click Straight, and seeing him, you know, creating some other environments as well.
He was just performing with Sealed. I think he was just.
So you see a lot of like I thought perhaps I would be able to like predict where the thing was gonna go. No clue. And I loved that. I love that there was unpredictability. I love that there was such stylistically cool things about your music, something so alive and colorful, but at the same time musically intricate to keep you entertained.
But it's all visually though. Like if you look at the video, I'd encourage everyone to watch it in case you don't know what we're talking about. We'll leave it all linked below. But it is visually is also quite punkish and quirky and bizarre. So it's, I don't know, do correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that might be perhaps one of the best kind of representations, ironically enough, of maybe what your styles have kind of become as you keep growing as an artist.
And I grew up loving style. I had, you know, I love clothes. I love visual arts and all of the things that I love. I love to put it in the music as well. And the glasses that we actually, I wasn't supposed to wear it, which is funny. I was asking the camera guy kind of like, should I not wear it? Because, you know, I brought it just in case. Maybe I could put it on the, you know, table. And then the camera guy was like, you know what, just wear it. So I was like, okay, fine. And then I don't know if you've seen the drummer as well. He kind of wore the gloves. Yeah. Which is kind of like an added, you know, we just wanted to create something that's just, you know, just different and something that's fresh and
fun, like not take yourself too seriously anyways, you know what I mean?
And I really, you know, as much as me and Tim, we take music seriously, but you know, when it comes to visuals, I mean, why not, you know? And that's what we love about, you know, creating art, is that the sophistication that we try to put a lot of hard work into our music, but at the same time, and at the end of the day, it's just entertainment. I just love the fact that, you know, people kind of find it funny, or some people didn't like it, some people did, and that's what's, you know, fun about art, isn't it? Like
comes
everybody
with the
has their own
comes with the territory. Some people are gonna like it, some people are not.
I think it's also really cool though, because you hear a lot of like, obviously in not only in these two songs that we're talking just about, like
Bleeding Hearts is a really good song as well. I was really impressed. I really like that song in there.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. But not only on the recent stuff, because obviously we're talking about the most the most cohesive part of you, but I kind of like a lot of your discography and how you hear more influences of like alternative music, and then in some others you hear more of like that pop forward sound. What are you currently listening to? Like, what inspires each era?
Yeah, I go through phases, and I think everybody does. And right now, I'm listening to a lot of new wave, and just a lot of gothy vibes. I don't know. I never listened to goth before, but nowadays I'm like, okay. And it's, I don't want to put Tim into the story again, but Tim showed me this really cool. I think it's called Cholo Goth. I think it's a Latin goth, right?
Yes, it is.
What
Cholo,
What is goth? What are you guys talking about?
Goth music is like is a bit like towards the darker side of.
Yeah, it's a dark,
like alternative rock.
Is it rock?
Yeah, a little bit rockish, but it is rock, but it's not metal either. It's like somewhere in between, but it's pretty dark.
But is it like full band stuff, like drumming, guitars?
It could be, and it's just more, in the dark side. And I never thought, I would like it until I heard it, and now I really like it. I'm vibing it. I love the new wave these days, and I love. I actually love the avant-garde pop, just like Kate Bush or Björk. Yeah, I think those people are kind of like my foundation.
Well, the thing is, I can totally see that because in at least not only in the visual aspect of it, but obviously the musical influences, even this like the certain choices of mixing in your vocals, they remind me. I know I think I quoted it when I first saw you. So it reminds me a little bit of Björk, and I was like, oh, there are really cool things here. I'm glad that you do listen to them.
And she's one of my idols, and I think she's one of those artists where she knows what she's capable of doing, and she shows that in such a confident way. But she's still, she has that innocence, which I really, really admire. And I don't know, I really love her. So
I have no idea who she is, but I'm gonna say this: I like Ena Mori instead.
Oh, thank you. Like Björk will be, eye rolling. Oh, I'm just kidding.
No, that's really cool.
So let me maybe take us back a bit more. So you did your degree,
right?
Of music. Then you graduate, you do your thesis, and maybe that's kind of when you said that's when you first did like an EP. You started recording things.
Yeah.
When was it after you graduated when you decided, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna chase my inspiration, my music, and I'm gonna go with music full time? Or was it maybe you knew since you were a kid, because obviously you were pianoing before? What was the process into becoming a pro singer? Because a soloist, because it puts it into perspective for people, because for some people, for some artists that we bring on the podcast, it was kind of like a natural progression of things. Maybe they didn't even get a choice. Sometimes it was more of a put it all on the line and let's make the dream work. What was kind of your approach? Because it is a big step. And by the way, most singers, it's a rough life, man. Like it's not like you see on TV and all this stuff. That's like the 0.1% of stuff. But it is, it's always intriguing to me, because I know it can inspire other people as well to see me. Ena's doing it, I can do it as well. So what was the process after you graduated into taking the big leap?
Oh yeah, rough. I think many, not just musicians or artists in general, when you try to pursue art, there's so much risk, that you have to kind of be aware of before chasing. And since I was a kid, like music was one thing that I just did constantly, and I just knew in my mind that I can't really see myself doing other things than something that is at least music related, and I wanted to always get into music. But, obviously, there's so many risks. So when I graduated, that's when I was like, I actually told my parents, until I'm 25, I'll try it. And if I don't see anything happening when I'm 25, I'll listen to you. I'll become teacher. I'll do something else. But until then, can you just please give me the chance to do what I really love? Yeah. And they're like, they couldn't really say no. I guess I'm pretty sure they didn't want it, but I was just like, you know what, I'll do it. And yeah, sometimes the gigs are rough. You don't really have the funding anyways, so you just have to, just for exposure, I guess. That's one thing that everybody kind of goes through, is that you're not really paid enough, and you just have to do it for exposures. Sometimes it's late at night and you don't want to perform, but you have to, and you do like a 1 a.m. set. Yeah, those stuff. Yeah, so I went through pretty I think pretty much the same thing that other people went through. But yeah, I think once I graduated, that's where I kind of took the leap of faith.
Well, I do hope that we can look back at this podcast like in a couple of years' time, and we can be like, what the fuck? Do you remember when when I went on, and now it's like you're selling out places, and you're all over Japan, the Philippines, Asia, and we could just sit down and have a laugh, be like, wow, who would have thought that when I graduated? And now look at me now. I always like, what was that interview? I think it was like, I think it was Billie Eilish.
Oh yeah.
She does those interviews like on a yearly basis.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen it.
Was she with GQ?
GQ. I fucking love that idea to do that with. I mean, luckily that's kind of what we're doing with the podcast, because I guess the rule I kind of have with the podcast is we're not gonna bring someone on who I wouldn't bet on.
That's right.
To be successful or to do like achieve great things. So we're like, okay, because then if they, when they do achieve the great things, we can sit back again and we can be like, let's look back at the podcast in 2020 or 2021 or 2022. And how crazy was that? So it's like, you're one of those people that we were just discussing. It's like, fuck, dude. I think it's just a matter of time.
I totally agree.
Because it's very rare, Ena, to find like a sound that's intertwined with someone's personality and their vision. So that's genuinity in and of itself.
And it's something that I believe the market is hungering for. Like they're hungry for something different, and there's a lot of the same everywhere you look. And I think it's really cool to have somebody that stands out for what they really are, and not something that it's been marketed in that way either.
So you got all our support, and anything 100%. we got you in we got your backs. I'm serious. I'm really interested in you, Johnny.
I could like tear up. Right?
No.
You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much.
Oh, we totally mean it, and I think we can talk a bit more about the music development. Obviously, we've had a couple of years in the music industry that has been absolutely terrible, given the whole world pandemic and how did you take on those 2 years? Did you perhaps move more focus into studio and writing and stuff, or was it more like, oh, I'll take this time to detox, or what was your approach to the pandemic?
I think during the pandemic, I actually stayed with my family in Japan.
Nice.
And,
nice.
So all of my music related friends and all of that stayed here, and I was really away from a lot of my friends here. And during that time, I think it was a bit of both. So all I did was input and output, kind of like going in between, and actually not being able to go outside and have some type of conversation with other people through face to face. I didn't think that it would affect with my art so much, because I think that was kind of like a natural thing. You just go to the gig, talk to the fans, or whoever that was there, and that was like a natural thing for me, and that's where a lot of my inspiration came from, and I wasn't really aware of that. So the first couple of months, I was trying to search for something that's interesting in life, which is so funny, because I was just at home, just sitting, watching the TV, kind of, singing the same thing over and over, and it was hard for me to get a lot of inspiration from the outside, and that's where I kind of really detox myself to actually input by listening to a lot of music. And I think during the pandemic, that's all I really focused on. It's just listen to other artists, and
that's really cool.
And I discovered a lot of art. I actually listened to a lot of British music.
Oh,
it's
cool.
Really cool. Yeah.
Like who?
I mean, the OG, I listened to Oasis. I listened to, all of the rock bands. I listened to the new bands like, oh my goodness, what's his name?
1975.
Oh, yeah. From Dirty Hit. Yeah, Dirty Hit.
Dirty Hit.
I forgot his name.
Oh, wait.
What's his name? Oh my gosh.
Steven.
No, it's not Steven. What's his name?
He's making it up. He doesn't know.
I suck with names, and I don't remember anyone's name.
I suck with names too. He's what do you call that? Oh my gosh.
Oh God, I
listen to.
It's James. Everyone knows it's James.
He could be James, to be honest. I'm just kidding.
No.
I think.
Yes. Everyone here is called either Dave, James, or Steven.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. I think I have the song here. Yeah, Oscar Lang. Oh my gosh.
Oscar Lang. James, come on.
Oscar
Lang.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Yeah. But
I feel like
British,
I feel like you listen to like where are they called, them, the Wombats?
Oh, you gotta listen to
the
them.
Wombats.
Oh, really? You listen to them?
I told you. I knew it.
Yes. I do. I love it. I'm such a fan of British music.
Cool.
And I think, I don't know, they have the, what do you call that? They have the swag.
The
They
vibe.
have the edge.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
edge.
and I was so inspired by that, because I guess when you're in quarantine, you're like naturally frustrated.
Yes.
With every aspect of life, and I don't know, British music, it's
They
so
got it.
refreshing.
I totally agree.
Well, it was so bizarre, right? That home, like, it still doesn't feel real that, like, in 2020 everyone was literally inside and they weren't allowed outside.
Exactly.
It doesn't even feel like it was 2 years ago to begin with.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was so bizarre because everything, people started noticing, especially artists, on what little things in life they kind of drew inspiration from.
Yeah.
And now that they were away, you feel like a caged hamster, just in this little bowl, or every day the same. You don't really, you no longer have that contact with the muse, the inspiration anymore. So everyone's just fucking caged.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's just, one thing that I realized as an artist, performance and having a live show was such a big deal that I didn't, recognize. I didn't realize that until I wasn't able to do that. And, for a while, and since, Japan and also in the Philippines, we took a long time to, recover from quarantine. And nowadays, slowly but surely, live shows are coming back again, which is really awesome.
That's awesome.
For a few months, I was like looking at all the festivals that was happening in the UK and the American. I'm like, oh, I wish I could go there. Yeah, but now it's all open, which is really exciting. So kind of like little by little, we're
yes.
You've ever been to London, to the UK?
No, I've never. Yeah, and I really, really want to. Me and Tim, we're such a fan. I think of Tim.
Tim mentioned that. Yeah. Tim mentioned
right?
You guys have to come. We're gonna take you to the best freaking spots for live music.
I would love to. Yeah.
We're thinking in the near future to because we obviously so many people on the podcast from different industries, music industries that we've had on the podcast. So I wanna fly a few of you guys here to London too. So cause a lot, like there's so many, like we have some some friends from like India or Algeria, France, Korea, and they're all like, oh my god, I've never been to London, but they love like British pop, or like stuff like that. And I think like, especially for you, like Ena and you and Tim as well, it's like if you guys come and then you walk in the streets of like Camden or Soho,
dude, you're gonna love
you'll understand like what that swagger that you call these British pop bands or these Brit
comes from.
And then I know people like you guys would just absorb that shit, and then I would just throw you in the booth.
the whole time. Like I'll be so weirded out and also excited because you see, all the things that you guys seen it, and the bands that I admire seen it, and
we gotta take you to the places that are not touristic, like not
they're touristy as well.
Just walk around so you can see the big places, but you have to go to like the underground, to like the underground places where the actual punk music is played at, where like you actually listen to all this really cool upcoming bands and stuff. Like the House of Jazz and stuff like that.
What I'll do is you walk around those places and stuff for like, I don't know, I'll give you like 72 hours. And then the last 24 hours, I'll just throw you in a booth in a studio. And I know
make music.
and I know like the combinations of sounds and then your own sounds and it's just gonna be fucking it's gonna be mental. That's what I'll do.
I mean, like talking about this is already kind of like making me so inspired to like do something, you know. London and just UK in general is such a I don't know, I think it's not just us, but a lot of people dream about going there and just seeing the place that actually inspired a lot. Of artists that we really love. And
it's not bad. It's all right, mate. When you're here, you sort of get used to it. But
I want to go.
That's what people say about Japan, though. That's what people here say about Japan. It's like, oh my God, you gotta go to Japan, and people save up money to go to Japan
and live there.
Oh my God, you should definitely come. I'm going to be like the translator / local tourism to just show you around.
Well, I'm actually a bit afraid of Japan because the speech thing. It's like because there's like specific type of respect kind of thing when you speak. Like I don't want to disrespect anyone. You know what I mean? But
oh my goodness, there's I totally get that thing because a lot of people say that, but honestly Japanese people are
chilled,
nice enough to
okay.
You're like, no worries. Sometimes they'll take you to places. Some stranger will take you to places that you really want to go.
That happens in London. And that you say no, okay?
That'll be a little fishy. I will be saying no to that.
Yes.
But I just love UK. You guys are so cool. You guys are like the coolest.
That's what we think of you. That you're so cool.
You guys are so cool.
You record music, or are you singing in Japanese as well, or mainly just English?
I haven't really recorded anything in Japanese yet, just because I'm more comfortable writing English songs. Because I like how it rhymes. But I really want to try, maybe in the upcoming single or an EP with the Japanese lyrics. That'll be my next challenge.
Because I guess the cool thing that you have now going on for you as well is, you're trilingual. You speak English, Tagalog, and you speak Japanese. So it's like at some point, it was kind of the same when I rap. Spanish, writing in Spanish is way easier for me, or freestyling in Spanish is way easier. But English, it took a while after I moved to London for that kind of to marinate and set, kind of settle.
And I was a bit more like you. When I write songs, I find it easier to write in English. Like even before I came to the UK, even before I moved, and English was all that there was. I always found it easier to write in English, maybe perhaps because of the sound influences and like the music influences.
I think also it sounds cool.
I also had that perspective about English. It's like, it's definitely cooler in English.
I think the translation also, like when you want to say something, and sometimes when I try to write it in Japanese, for some reason it sounds corny, and I'm like, but in English it sounds so cool, but I don't know why in Japanese it kind of sounds this, different. And those rhyming and also melody choices as well. It changes with the lyrics. So but I would love to, that's one of my plan that I haven't really wrote anything, but I would love to do that.
Have you tried in Tagalog? Have you got any Tagalog songs either?
Actually, I'm not as good in Tagalog. That Tagalog is it's actually my Tagalog is not really good. It's so funny because I really try my best to understand my friends and all of that. But I understand pretty okay, but it's hard for me to pronounce Tagalog words.
Yeah,
and, yeah, it's a lot different. So
yes,
but you can
working on that.
if you don't speak Tagalog, it's basically in the Philippines you should be okay just speaking English, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is
good.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, good to know. Good to know for us as well when
Yeah.
we go visit as well.
Yeah. English is I think English is the first. I don't know if it's the first language, but yeah, many people understand English.
Yeah,
and
that's what everyone
most
tells
of,
us.
Most of the signs and everything are pretty much in English. So.
Happy days.
Awesome. We love to hear that.
Happy days. So let's talk about this then. Given the fact that, I mean, essentially, we're yet to see, I guess, the best version of Ena, which is super fucking exciting because you know, the more experience you gather, the more inspiration, the more places you kind of travel, the more you make, the better the artist kind of becomes. So what are kind of your objectives for the future, or kind of your dreams and hopes for your career as time progresses?
Good question.
Apologies that it sounds a bit like a resume question. It sounds like a proper job interview.
No, where do you see yourself? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the dreams that you have is you start big and then like reality hits and you see okay, maybe like the smaller version of that might be possible, but all I tell myself is that I want my music to be alive even after I die. So I always want to create music that would always be relevant to people and really resonate with someone, at least someone, and a 10-year pass or a 15-year pass or even longer than that. And I always try to whenever I feel a little off or a little sad, I try my best to make songs that would be, what do you call that, will not be forgotten, I guess. Memorable. And yeah, I guess all the cliche dreams like, oh, I want to play in Fuji Rock or those things. Yeah, those are of course in the chart. But yeah, and I don't really see a lot of inner what do you call that, mixed race, Asian, of course, as much. Nowadays, it's really there's a lot of Asian artists that is, a lot of diversity. But I really wanted to create something with my ethnicity and own influences, and just showcase the people that perhaps don't really know much of that, and doesn't really have much friends in that type of race and that type of ethnicity. So I really wanted to. Oh, I'm down for anything. To be honest, yeah.
I mean,
wherever it goes, yeah.
That's essentially what I mean, especially what you're mentioning about being able to kind of represent your own uniqueness and your story. And I mean, essentially, growing up in Japan and then moving to the Philippines and having like a multicultural family. That's kind of like that's so unique. I mean, essentially anyone that then gets to know your music and then gets to know you, they're essentially, that's always going to be a plus side, that you kind of have that uniqueness of upbringings and musical influences and like a multicultural background. But I think I think essentially what I think, what it comes down to is probably that what you're mentioning. It's like what happens after the career is done, or you decide to retire from music 25 years, 30 years from now, whatever, is kind of how memorable and that the music that you've created kind of becomes, and what memories did it spark in people, you know what I mean? I think that's essentially, at least in my eyes as well, that's probably all it comes down to, that the music you've created or the art you've created, people are able to remember it regardless of how many decades have passed or how much time has passed.
I think so too. I think there's a lot of like there's so I think art is ever evolving, and music it's kind of cyclical. So when you add the two together, you have this really cool like immortal universe type of thing happening, where you nowadays we're able to access songs from the 40s that we never even could have been exposed to, and then find new inspiration from things that way back when, or hear brand new artists with certain different inspirations, with different cultural backgrounds and different sounds, and all of that ignites and inspires you, no matter how big or how small that artist is. And I think that's what I like about this new era of like online music, online creating, where you can reach the most unique sounding artists, something that is so different, that is so unique, and something that would inspire you too. So yeah, I'm down with your dreams.
Yeah, or live in London. That would be cool.
Or live in London.
Yeah, performance in the UK. That would be really cool. Yeah.
I also don't see that as a far-fetched idea.
Yeah, I don't.
I think it's great.
I mean, again, I think it's just a matter of time, because yes, I think as long as you keep being you and you keep kind of creating the music you're creating, I think it's just literally, I think it's just a matter of time before something picks up and then it fucking blows up, where we both sit down and we just have a laugh. We're like, what the fuck? how did this all of a sudden become that? And it's like, and maybe that's the song that you just did for fun, or maybe that was, you know what I mean? You never know. And I think it's just a matter of time, because quality, my concern is always this, Ena, when it comes to like, artists and stuff, it's sometimes they have the hits, sometimes they have the popularity, and that's cool, but you need a specific artistic pedigree and knowledge in music to be able to exploit that inspiration for years to come.
That's right.
And not lose your soul in the way, you know what I mean? So that's why when I look at people like Timothy, or when I look at people like you, we've also we've had a few other artists on the podcast, and I look at them and I'm like, yeah, that's the way when it comes to, that's what I call musical pedigree, of understanding music, taking the time to study music. And it might take a longer journey, I think, because you've invested so early into knowledge, rather than how some people invest in popularity early on, you know what I mean? But I think in the long term, I mean, maybe you and I are gonna find out whether that's right or wrong. I don't know what the formula is. I'm not the genius. Yes, but I think that might be it. I think that's it.
Yeah.
You know,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I truly agree with what you said, and I guess like a lot of artists, especially in the pop scene, including me, you wish to have a hit, because you're a pop artist, and then when you see hit songs, and sometimes not all the hit songs are what you're what you think it's kind of cool, and people think that's the most amazing thing that they ever heard, and that would discourage a lot of artists. And I think every indie or every artist kind of feels that kind of, okay, why is this a hit, why and there's never like a formula of hit.
That's all right.
That's why and especially as a broke artist like me, I get frustrated and be like, what, if that could be a hit, then probably maybe I could do this instead, or maybe I could do that instead. And of course we will have those days where you kind of try to adjust with what crowd really wants from you and what it expects from you. And I think that's the battle, isn't it, like with the artists, and how to be truly authentic to yourself. And do you really want to do that in the first place? If you and I always tell myself that somebody else could do that. You don't have to do it. Somebody else, there's a bunch of other artists that could do that. So why you do that? You know what I mean? And me and Tim always talk about that, like artists.
How do
no, And
it makes sense though. It makes sense because I think everybody that has ever tried to make a living in any field, artistic or whatsoever, always goes down to the same thought mental process. And actually, if you hear some of your greatest inspirations, they more often than not, you'll hear they also question that stuff about themselves early on in their careers too. Like, oh, so and so was being popular when I was trying really hard, or you know, you see them taking inspirations from other artists that nobody ever knew about,
or you see them like, or you see them be something that they are not at the start of their career.
That's right.
And then as they grow, I mean, Lady Gaga is a great example of that.
Yes.
And looking at like her documentaries and interviews and stuff like that, it's like that Lady Gaga, the poker face Lady Gaga, and the what's the other fucking song she's got?
She has plenty of like that.
Yeah, which is like, it's just like, it's as poppy as it gets, and it's like, you know, visual stimulating. And then you look at the Lady Gaga of today, which is a bit more aligned to who she is, you know, her personality. She talks about that. It's like, well, you kind of maybe at the beginning, her perspective is you kind of have to do whatever you have to do to get popular, and then after that you can kind of align yourself more to the music that you want to make. So it's always interesting to listen from different perspectives, because when it comes to art, it's all subjective. Everything, there's no right or wrong answer, you know. And no one knows what the fuck the right answer is anyways.
That's right. Exactly. And one formula might work in one specific market, but then that formula replicated somewhere else, it doesn't work at all. So it's really unique, and it's really down to the artist. But you know what? I wanted to talk about like recently. I know that you have been performing live. What is it like to be performing your songs live again to the people?
Oh, you know, it's funny because you know, when I used to perform live, I was used to, you know, having people around, and, you know, very, you know, you have to do some spills, you know,
squish.
You know, right. And try to be more comfortable with people. The first time I did like a public live show, oh my goodness, like I lost all of my game when it comes to, you know, all the, you know, talking to people. And I think that was very surprising, and also it was really, I don't know, it almost felt like it was my first time, you know.
That's great.
Yeah. And as nerve-wracking I was, it was such a great, I don't know, it almost, you know, I had this sense of, what do you call that, I was humbled and enough that I was able to kind of experience that like first time performing feeling. And you know, when you have few songs that are out already, and you know, practicing that and how to, you know, arrange, it's kind of weird because I forgot, you know, is this cable gonna go to this cable, like I don't really know, you know, those moments where you kind of forgot how to do live shows. And that kind of feeling, you know, it kind of terrified me, but at the same time it was just a fresh moment. And I just love that reset button. It's kind of like a reset button. And I don't know, it was a really weird but cool, you know, feeling. And still this day, I kind of feel a little, you know, a little awkward, but I'm getting there. I'm trying to get there more.
Well, it's like to be fair with live stuff, it's just, I call it, the best analogy I've got for it is the gym. The only way you get better at it is just putting more reps in. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
Repetition.
So it's almost like I don't know how this like bench stuff works. It's kind of like that, So it was a fresh moment, but you know, it's always fun. It's always fun to rehearse. It's always weird to kind of see, oh my gosh, those are my actual bandmates. You know? And it's really, really cool.
How did maybe let's go back in time, but how did the Wish Bus performance come about?
Actually, it was really out of the blue. Actually, you know, one of my management told me that I was, you know, able to book a Wish Bus.
Nice.
And before that, I think my song Safe Zone, which was, you know, back in the EP, that was, you know, part of the Wish kind of awards.
Yeah.
But I've never performed Wish Bus before, and I went to performance of my friends. I kind of sessioned them together, but
nice.
I never done it by myself. So it was kind of nerve wracking because that's the first. Actually, that was the first live show after.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Pandemic.
So it's so weird. Exactly. So coming from the just not doing live show at all to actually setting up stuff that I need to and rearranging the live show.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
It was kind of a weird moment, but also super fun. Yeah.
Yeah, but dude, that environment is intense. Though.
Isn't it crazy?
I was looking at
Yeah.
someone who was the person that did a vlog in the Philippines. I can't remember. He sent it to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, what the fuck?" It's so intense because everyone, you sort of go in there, everything's sort of arranged, but you have to arrange everything
Right.
according to what you want, and it's so quiet, and those mics are so sensitive to everything.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experience when you got there.
Because I always say, apologies, Jenna, but I always say this to people: the Wish Bus is one of the most difficult environments. That I've come across for artists when we were touring in South America and Venezuela, and we did radio shows.
I used to hate them.
They were some of the hardest performances because I think the Wish Bus does a better job at equalization and mixing.
Yeah.
But in some of the radio shows we would go to, I mean, and we're talking these radio shows, had maybe hundreds of thousands of people watching them live across the country. But those mics, dude.
Oh, I used to hate them.
It's like if I did this, you would listen to that. You're like, oh my God, what the fuck? My voice is going to sound so bizarre.
Exactly. And I don't know if you see it, but my headphones is kind of like that.
Yeah.
I can see everything. Yeah. And it's so weird. So my Wish Bus experience, actually, I knew how Wish Bus looked. I knew like
how it worked.
Kind of little it is. So like you have to kind of squeeze in. Yeah. And honestly, from that, my friend's experience and my experience being in Wish Bus before as a sessionist, I kind of knew what to expect. So that was really helpful. But also, it was kind of like, it's a radio show as well. So it's live. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing that it's really, kind of bizarre because you have to, set up and you have to go on with the cue and all of that. And actually there's an audience that's watching outside. Yeah. So you have to kind of with being aware of that, it's a little, what do you call it? It's a weird environment to kind of perform. And
it's like you're in a fishbowl or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot bizarre and it's a lot intense to kind of, think about that. But also it's kind of cool that the fact that, people could actually hear from the outside. So I always, it was kind of weird. And, Tim also, he really helped me with the setup. And we were kind of thinking, okay, is this a risk? Is it going to sound weird? There's a lot of pre-planning over. Yeah. But it was probably the reason why it was a little bit nerve-wracking is because it was the first live show for sure. And, me and my bandmates haven't seen each other for a long time. So we're just like, hey, how are you?
Hi, stranger.
It's a little strange. Okay, let's rehearse for the bus. It's a little bizarre, but it was a lot of fun.
It went well though. It sounded really well, and it was really enjoyable. I mean, I think you saw the video of us reviewing that one on the podcast. It was really enjoyable. It was really, really nice.
Oh,
so I think congrats to your bandmates as well. What are their names? The drummer.
Yeah, Cairo is the drummer. Cairo Peralta. And Tim, obviously, is the keyboardist. Yeah, the big one.
Because I think Tim, you guys chose to go with the MIDI keyboard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
MIDI keyboard, yeah.
So that must have been a choice. You must have been like, oh my God, fuck, it's not gonna work. It's not.
And it's funny because we actually took a risk of him playing the synth bass. And if you guys are musicians as well, but playing the bass live is not really a good idea if it's like a pre-recording, right?
No, it's the worst.
So well, we're just like, what?
Roll with it.
Roll with it. And I really wanted to do that idea of like, let's have the real bass because that brings that, liveness in the song. And especially pop songs, it's hard to keep that live effect.
Pop live is rough.
Yeah, it's rough and yeah.
We were really impressed about that because obviously the choices that you guys made were really clever, musically speaking, into the studio wish-like environment. Because obviously you can't bring your whole full 6-piece band into the whole studio. It's too small. It'll be too cramped.
I mean, you can.
We've seen it done
Ask
before,
Ben and Ben. Those motherfuckers put in 17 people in one little booth.
How they do it.
How do they fit?
How I have no idea. Honestly, you know, like they sometimes do like a two, 3 takes to, you know, just have people in. Yeah, so you will be the first batch, and then you, it's kind of like that, right? I think that's just so bizarre. Yeah.
We saw as well. It was Moira de la Torre, which with
Third Avenue, December Avenue.
When they did a cola back in the day, it was December Avenue and Moira, and they had to use 2 buses.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Because
now like, that gets
that's nuts.
How can you fit all these people in here?
They should have a train, like a
like a whole bandwagon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that gets a lot trickier because you know there's a lot of bands. And I think there's this one time I performed with Zild. I was just the keyboardist. But we had
no way. I didn't know.
Just you know, so glad.
Yeah, dude, Zild is dope, dude. His music's fucking dope.
He's one of my good friends, and he's awesome. He's really, really good.
What performance did you keyboard for him?
It was a Wish Buzz as well, and
was it last year, the year before?
It's very recent actually. I think it was last year, late last year, maybe December around that time. Yeah, we had the Wish Buzz, and
nice.
You could see me kind of.
There I think was it. I think they published it about 2 months ago. The Humiga one.
I think that's right. Yeah, the Humiga. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are like the performance.
Yay!
I'm just there.
There we go.
Yeah.
Showing you what we're seeing. Yay!
Yay! Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so that's kind of like the full band effect of like stuff.
Who's on the guitar?
That's Tim, I think.
Is that Tim on the guitar?
Yeah.
We're always there. You know, it's like a hidden Mickey at this point. Like
we're always there.
Oh, Tim is there. Yeah. We're always kind of like involved with some type of performance. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I think that's what keeps you guys so like what is it, like fit, like music wise, because you're always involved in your environment. Your whole environment is surrounded by music, and that I don't think people give that enough credit to the creative process. I think if you're surrounded by people that are naturally creative too, you will find inspiration in one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, it's no wonder to me, like Sil, Tim, and you, that's like where you guys would get along. It's like,
and it's funny because sense. We actually were classmates in college.
Oh, right.
And that's how we kind of like got
all together,
hang out with each other. Yeah,
right.
Because I mean, Zild's beginning kind of. Well, I mean, I don't know his story. I've never met him, but he's obviously before Spades. That's kind of how he began, right? And now that he's going full on solo, which is he's really peculiar because his artistry. He sort of reminds me a lot of of you and Tim, because it's like, if I was gonna describe someone's personality, I would just show them this song.
That's right.
And the song would be them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
That's what's so interesting about you guys. So no wonder you guys get along.
Yeah, we're really good friends, and as I think Waleska said about the whole, what do you call that? Like hanging out with each other, and you know, I really enjoy other artists that I really look up to, like Tim and Zild's company, because it just gives you an open-minded state that you're sometimes caught up with your own idea, and sometimes it doesn't really grow in a sense. And when you session, or when you kind of actually interact with people that have different songs, a different artistry, it's really fresh, and it brings me a lot of inspiration as well. So they're really good friends. Yeah,
very nice.
I saw them like 2 days ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything? Maybe if there's anything you'd like to mention, or maybe any new upcoming things that you're kind of working on at the moment that you can spoil without your management chopping my head off.
I'm working on an album. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm very excited. I think it's going to be released July.
Okay.
I think they wouldn't, they wouldn't get mad if I just yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's going to be dropped July. Hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah, if it doesn't delay. Yeah, but that's my first album, so it's
Very
kind
nice.
of nerve-wracking.
Oh, that's gonna be amazing. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm really
thank
looking
you.
forward to it.
Well, you
Yeah,
let
I
us know
hope
when
you
it
guys will like
releases. You let us know when it releases. Maybe we can do something special. We've done it with
Yeah.
we just did it with Bang Young Cook from Korea, where we
Yes.
kind of had a sit down with him and we kind
And we
of
just dissected track
the
by
album
track.
with,
Yeah.
with him, you know. So
Oh yeah.
We would love to do that with you if you
Yeah,
if
if-
you're up to it.
Yeah, I'm totally down. Yeah, I think I'm going to be releasing a single very
Ooh,
soon.
cool.
So I'm going to tell my management.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
no, we'll
Totally do that.
definitely check it out on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
Because
Right. Where can anyone that's listening or watching find you? Like online, drop all your socials and stuff so
Yes.
people can have a look at
Yeah.
where you're at.
I am Ena Mori, so you could find me on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you actually listen to music. I'm also on Instagram, Ena Mori Music, and also Facebook. Yeah, so you could check me there. But yeah, mostly all of my music are, pretty much out in every streaming platforms.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Facebook's a big deal, isn't it, in the Philippines?
I know, right? And I didn't notice that until I came here. It's one of the main source of
Social media platforms.
Social
Yeah.
media. Yeah. I think for you guys it's like Instagram, right?
Yeah,
Twitter.
Instagram,
And
Twitter.
well, at the
uh,
moment in the UK, it's Instagram and TikTok.
Oh yeah, TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah.
and Twitter.
Yeah, I have
Twitter's pretty
TikTok as well.
Oh,
I'm
nice,
not
cool.
really good at that, but
Join
some
the club.
things are in there. Yeah, I'm just like joining the club as
Me too.
as I learn. Yeah. So I'm there as well if you guys want to check out. Yeah.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Anna, you're an absolute treat, and
You have been incredible, and thank you so much for
You guys are
talk to us.
Of course, you guys are so fun, and I enjoyed watching your reaction video. I watched the whole thing. I watched the Timothy run as well.
Yay!
It's so fun, and it's so nice to hear you guys' story and you guys perspective on what you heard, and you guys are an awesome musician as well. So it's
you
really
very
nice
much.
to hear all of your reactions. Yeah, keep
No,
going.
thank you
Wow.
so much, Anna, and I hope we get to do this again soon
Yes.
with your brand new album. We will be looking out for it. And everybody, that was Ena Mori.
Ena Mori, everybody.
Thank you.